And next up is Rhode Island State Representative Marcia Rankin Bass.
I love you because community is stronger than hate. So I'm going to engage you for a moment and ask you to do what we call in the classroom a do now. I'm going to ask you to turn to the person next to you and say, I love you.
I love you. You're by yourself.
Okay. Thank you. So I am Marcia Rankin Bass. I'm a Providence public school teacher.
Yeah.
I am also a mother of 3 black young men. I am married to a black man over there. And yes, Black Lives Matter. So, thank you so much everyone for being here and for your work. I want to start off by saying where there is injustice, if you remain silent, you are complicit in the said matter. So thank you for being here. So last year I declared my candidacy June 27, 2016. And why did I declare my candidacy? I declared it because on June 20th, 2016, one of my sons came home and he said, Mommy, they shot Kip. 3 days later, this young man that they shot died. In that moment, I started thinking, I was thinking about it a couple weeks ago. I had conversations, I wasn't thinking of running. But at that moment, I said, you know what? I'm running. June 2016, I started thinking that in my 17 years of teaching in Providence, I, Marcia Rankin, had lost about 10 students to gun violence. I could not stand on the sideline anymore. So I decided to run. And I ran, and with a lot of people beside me, we won this campaign that no one thought we could win. This campaign that I won was not for me, but it's for every single person in this country and in Rhode Island who suffers from racial injustice, economic injustice, and environmental injustice, and quite frankly, any kind of injustice that you can think about or conceptualize, any kind of injustice is just wrong. So I knocked on doors for an entire summer. And one of the things that I talked about that we must make sure that we pass good, common sense gun control laws. Because no mother should have to bury a child. No husband or wife should have to bury a spouse because of something that is preventable. And gun violence, by the way, it's a public health issue. So this is one of my call to action. The day after I won this election, which by the way, made the New York Times because it was so big. power to the people. A young man went on my son's Facebook and he wrote, "Now that your mom has won, we are going to get jobs." I have to report sadly that about 2 months ago, that young man was shot and killed to gun violence. So every day I walk around with my phone and I look at this screenshot of this message that says, "Now that your mom won, we're gonna get jobs." And that's why my fight to end joblessness and gun violence is one of the crusades that I am on. Will you join me? Thank you. It is no secret that black and brown kids are suspended twice as much, and let me add, and students receiving special education services and poor white kids. They are disproportionately suspended and receive out-of-school suspension, which is a direct link to incarceration and wadding the wallets of fat cats and corporation through the school-to-prison pipeline. We have got to end that. And that is the reason why one of the bills that I introduced this last session, and which I will reintroduce when I get back in January, is to make sure that, can I take this off? Can I take this off? Because this kind of restrains me a little. Thank you. It's to make sure that we reduce out-of-school suspension by providing alternative space in our classroom for every child. So what will that look like for teachers? What will that look like for parents? That will look like if the child is not a threat to himself, herself, administrators, or a threat to anyone, bring a knife, a gun to school, that child will remain in school. What we're asking for, what my bill is asking for, is a tiered approach to suspension. You've got to meet with parents first. You've got to meet with child first. You've got to meet with community first, because we can no longer subsidize this prison complex on the backs of black and brown people. Another bill that I introduced was my bill to raise the minimum wage to a living wage of $15 an hour by 2022. As of January, we'll raise the minimum wage from $9.60 to $10.10, and that's a good start. But you know what? We're not there yet. We are not there yet. Because if we had caught up to inflation in Rhode Island right now, the minimum wage would have been $24.15. So we're not there yet. We have to make sure that we're not continually marginalizing the same people through economic injustice. And while I'm at it, let me just emphasize that the wages of black women and Latina women are still disproportionately lower than white people. You can clap, that's factual. And while I'm at it, I really want to give a shout out to the Rhode Island Black Business Association, who is doing an awesome job here in Rhode Island. I want to bring to your attention a little known law that's been on the books since 1981. And we've got to make sure that we hold government people right? Accountable. It should be 10% of contracts that should be going to black and brown people. And right now, the state is only doing 6%. Shame. Are we serious about moving people out of poverty? Are we serious about moving people out of poverty? Then let's get to work. I have only a few minutes left, but I really want to give a shout out to my colleague in government who is here, Aaron Regenberg, who because of his work and the fight of all of us, we now have earned sick time. Is that too progressive for you? I just had to put that in there. So, in conclusion, we don't have any monuments here in Rhode Island, do we? No, we don't have any monuments here. But what we have in Rhode Island is structural racism.
That's true.
Hello?
That's true.
What we have is structural racism, classism, and hello, sexism. So we need to elect people. We need to elect black people. I am the only black woman in the General Assembly. We can do better, can't we? What are we going to do? We're going to go out and we're going to register people. We're going to get candidates who are passionate about justice, and they will win. They will win. I walk around in a black body every day, and oftentimes people would want to minimize me. People want to make me invisible. But we're not going anywhere, because we have been here when they brought us here. Black people were the only group of people that were brought to this country against their will. That is history. You can clap. So, thank you to every person here, black, white, and I must say, I like to say this, because the civil rights movement would not have been won had it not been for black people and white people, and that's why you're here. So when they're telling the history, and I'm here as a teacher telling the history, I want to make sure that it's not biased, right? I want to make sure it's not biased, but I want to speak the truth, because the truth wins all the time. We have to make sure we support all people. We have to make sure that people, DACA recipients, who are in the shadows now because of Donald Trump, we need to make sure that we support them. And how did we get to Donald Trump? We got to Donald Trump because of racism.
Truth. Truth. That's the truth.
So I urge you to join me. Join me. I need your support. I was elected last year, but a greater challenge is ahead. And what the greater challenge is to make sure that State Representative Marcia Rankin Bass is re-elected next year. I know my time is up, but I have one more ask for you to do. I just need to tell you that I love you so much. I do.